For more on the humanitarian situation facing Palestinians across the enclave, joining us from Al Mawasi in Gaza is Roselia Bollen, the spokesperson for the UN's Children's Fund, UNICEF. Roselia, thank you so much for being with us. I want to ask you about Gaza's children specifically, but first, we've just been hearing from our correspondent there about the dire humanitarian situation in the enclave. What is your assessment?
Children in Gaza suffer in so many different ways. Their lives are just unforgiving. On the one hand, there is the continued attacks, and attacks have continued also over the past couple of days. The airstrikes are just unrelenting, with 100 persons reported killed, including with around 30 children reported killed, and many more children have been injured. So there is that aspect. There is the continued bombs and the bullets. But also, children have been facing utter deprivation for well over 15 months now. What you should imagine is that they don't have a warm shelter to come back to at the end of the day. They live in makeshift tents, don't protect from the cold and from the rain. They don't have access to clean water in the sites where children stay. There is raw sewage flowing in the midst of the tents. There's open sewage, there's garbage, solid waste that is piled up everywhere, there's rubble and sand. I see lots of children going around in what appear to be their summer clothes. Lots of children are barefoot, so that's a dangerous environment for a child to be in, exposed to diseases, but also exposed to the rubble, so they can easily injure themselves going around there barefoot. Children don't have access to a nutritious diet. For over 15 months, they've been living of canned food and flour. Um, Organizations like UNICEF bring in nutritional supplies,
Mm,
things like therapeutic food, high energy biscuits, plumpy nuts. But what children really need is for the commercial sector to be able to bring in supplies, large volume of
mm,
supplies, dairy, vegetables, fruit, and simultaneously the sanitary situation has to be improved. As you can
mm,
imagine, if children have diarrhea and we give them nutritional supplies, their bodies won't absorb these supplies. So
mm,
across the board, children are suffering, and the suffering isn't just physical; it's
mm,
mental too. I spoke about these unrelenting attacks. Children are very, very afraid. They've been traumatized by the things they've seen, but the
mm.
attacks continue. I woke up this morning to the sound, the buzz of a drone, and children are really, really scared of that. They're stuck in this permanent cycle of exposure to violence, but also toxic stress,
Yeah.
because they are acutely aware that no space is safe in Gaza.
And on that, Rosalia, I really want to ask you about what children have been saying to you, that you have spoken to about the ceasefire. We hear so much from officials and politicians throughout this conflict, but have you spoken to kids since the news of this ceasefire, and what are they saying?
The children I've been speaking to are acutely aware of the importance of a ceasefire. Children have been telling me about their dream to actually go back to their homes, to their bedrooms. They want to see what's left of their homes, but what they want most is to be able to sleep in their own beds. They've been sleeping on the ground, in the sand, in tents. Many families don't have mattresses, and so children have been telling me that they're very, very eager to sleep in their own beds. They want to play with their toys. The other thing they've been telling me is that they're really desperate to go back to school. They tell me things like, I miss my teacher, I miss my friends. It's been 1 year and a half without formal education for all children in Gaza. There's a few that have been lucky enough to access some informal learning opportunities, but the vast majority of children does not have that opportunity. They actually have to help their families in their daily struggle for survival. So I see lots of children queuing with jerry cans to fetch water. There's lots of children you see queuing in front of bakeries and food kitchens. There's lots of children that I see that are scavenging through the garbage,